In many modern teachings of Advaita, people are often told in a very direct way, just give up the sense of being the doer, or drop the ego right now. This sounds simple and powerful, but it can be misleading if an important fact is not explained clearly. In traditional understanding, the mind itself, including the feeling of being a doer and even the ability to let go of that feeling, is influenced by the three guṇas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and also by time or kāla, meaning changing conditions. The feeling, I am doing everything, does not belong to a separate independent self. It is something that arises inside prakṛti, shaped by habits, conditioning, and the changing balance of the guṇas. Just like clarity, confusion, energy, or laziness come and go depending on mental conditions, the sense of doership also comes and goes. Sometimes a person feels very clear and understands teachings easily. At other times, the same teaching feels unclear, distant, or even irritating. This is not a personal failure, but simply how the mind changes according to its condition. Because of this, the act of giving up doership is not fully in a person's control. It happens only when the mind is in the right state, usually when there is more sattva, calmness, and openness. When rajas or tamas is strong, the same understanding does not appear easily. So letting go of doership is not something that can be done permanently by force. It appears naturally at certain times and disappears at other times depending on mental conditions. When modern Advaita teachers ignore this and present ego freedom as something you can simply choose at any moment, problems can arise. First, it creates confusion. You are told there is no real doer, but also told to do the act of dropping doership. Second, it can create pressure and frustration. If someone cannot stay in that awareness all the time, they may feel they are failing or doing something wrong. This can lead to guilt or mental stress, even though the situation was never fully under their control. It can also ignore an important part of the traditional path, which is preparing the mind step by step. Traditionally, practices are given to slowly make the mind clearer and more steady, so that understanding can arise more easily. Without this context, the teaching can become just an idea in the head, disconnected from actual experience. A more balanced view is to understand that both ignorance and clarity arise within the same natural process. Even the thought, I am not the doer, comes and goes like any other thought. It is not something the ego permanently achieves or holds. It appears when the mind is clear and fades when the mind becomes cloudy again. Understanding this makes the teaching more realistic and less stressful. So, the instruction to give up doership should not be taken as a command to forcefully remove the ego. It is more like noticing, whenever possible, that the sense of being the doer is temporary. This noticing itself depends on the condition of the mind, so it cannot be forced all the time. But when it appears, it is meaningful. Recognizing that guṇas and time affect the mind does not weaken the teaching of Advaita. Instead, it makes it more practical and honest. It removes unnecessary pressure and helps avoid misunderstanding. It also matches real experience, where clarity and confusion naturally come and go. In the end, even the understanding of all this is not something owned by a person. It also appears for a while, stays for a while, and then fades, just like everything else in the mind.